If you've been in the nonprofit sector for any length of time, chances are you, or maybe someone you've known, has said, we need to do something like Charity Water. Maybe it's fundraise like Charity Water, or maybe it's web design or graphic design like Charity Water. There's a good reason for that. They're excellent at what they do, and a lot of us admire the way in which they're fundraising and storytelling. Well, in today's video, I want to break down the process of how your organization can tell stories like Charity Water and be inspired by their methodologies. My name is Vanessa Lockshin, and I'm the president of the Storytelling Nonprofit, a consulting and training company that works with nonprofit organizations to help them tell stories that raise money and awareness. Welcome back to my weekly videos here on our YouTube channel. And if you're new to these videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen so you get notified of new videos each and every week. Today, we're going to talk about how to tell stories like Charity Water, and I'm going to give you 5 easy-to-use tips that your organization can start implementing in its own storytelling. So tip number 1 is think narrative, not just story. And this is a really important one. If you think about the arc of Charity Water's communications over the years, it's not just a single story that's captured people. It's the whole story. It's the narrative about their work, and they're very clear about what they do, why they do it, and the theory of change behind it. This is an essential thing that all organizations need to have down in order to tell really strong stories and in general have great communications and fundraising. And if you haven't watched my video on how to create your nonprofit's narrative in 4 steps, I'll link to that below so you can check that out and get a more thorough tutorial on how to do this. But I'll say, I think this is one of the secrets to how Charity Water tells really great stories, is having this strong narrative in place. Tip number 2 for you is that emotions and details are what make their stories memorable. And this is something that your organization can use as well. If you think about Charity Water's videos, one of the things that makes them really special and really fantastic are all of the emotions and details that go into those stories. And if you click on any one of those on their website, you'll quickly see that. We'll say this one, for instance, these small details, these small vignettes or B-roll, so to speak, of people doing things, watching them get water, looking at their faces. All of these small things add up to the emotions and details of the story that make it very memorable and also really connecting for the audience. Tip number 3 for you is to invite your community to share their stories and participate in the narrative you're creating. I think this is a really essential thing that Charity Water has done for years. If you think about the sort of, I think, very innovative way that they've invited people to use their birthdays for fundraising campaigns and all the other things they are doing, they're really giving people an opportunity to become part of the Charity Water story and the Charity Water narrative. And in fact, if you go over to their YouTube page, which I'll link to just below, see on their YouTube channel, they have lots of fantastic stories about journeys, about people who have been involved. They have lots of thank you videos to donors. And these are just some of the many ways in which they're making donors a part of the story and making sure that their whole community feels like they're participating in the Charity Water story. My next tip for you is to make sure you have a clear problem and a clear protagonist in that story. And I think this is something that's really essential in all of Charity Water stories. They have a problem, dirty water, right? And that's really simple. It's very straightforward and people know what it is, and it's part of what makes their story very memorable. And that's a real through line throughout all of the stories that they tell. And my last tip for you is that great stories convey a theory of change that addresses the problem that you continuously share with your audience. For Charity Water, this theory of change is really straightforward and very simple. They feel like for people in developing countries, access to clean water can change everything, and Charity Water solves this by improving access to clean water. Super straightforward. That's a clear message and a clear theory of change that comes through in all of their stories and in all of their fundraising. I've talked about theory of change a couple of times before in other videos, and if you're interested in having me do a longer video on what theory of change is and how to use it in fundraising, let me know in the comments below and I will make a video on that in the coming weeks to share with you. So those are my 5 tips for you to help you tell stories like Charity Water, and I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these tips are you going to try? Or maybe there's ones that you're already using that you've been inspired by Charity Water to try. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're ready to make your story stand out, I've got a brand new resource for you to check out. It's called our Storytelling Success Checklist, which you can download just below this video. Be sure to grab a copy of that and use that as a resource to help you tell great stories on a consistent basis. Finally, if you've liked this video, be sure to like it here on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for weekly tutorials and tips to help you with your nonprofit storytelling.